then kind of ask you a question, Benji, in terms of, so Groundswell International, we are a collective of organizations like this one organization, Burkina Faso, and that's sort of the name, you know, that we're doing this as a collective of organizations together, learning from each other. And when we see, you know, communities and farmers like this, we see power. You know, they are the agents of change that can really hold the solutions and spread them. And that's what I see in your work locally. I mean, you know, people trying to connect the farming pieces to the local markets pieces. So I'd really like to hear about how that works. And I just wanted to read one sentence, you know, from this book, you know, that we produced along these lines, saying that there are 2.5 billion people in the world on 500 million farms involved with smallholder family agricultural and food production. Their creative capacity to farm productively and sustainably with nature instead of against it is perhaps the most powerful force that can be unleashed to overcome the interlinking challenges of hunger, poverty, climate change, and environmental degradation. And this is the essence of agroecology. So again, I think this is what you are doing and living, and as a farmer, as a guy trying to create with others, I'm sure, local markets. So can you talk to us about how you're doing that? What the challenges are?
Yeah, so one of the most powerful things that happened to me 15 years ago was I started growing food. I grew up on Taco Bell and macaroni and cheese, and I started growing food, and all the light bulbs started going off in my being. And when I did, I just took a deep dive as fast as I could and figured out that the food system was broken, and here was why. My solution at the time was I was going to just grow food, have a little 5-acre farm, start a family, have chickens, do rotational grazing, do all these different things that I thought would be what I was going to spend the rest of my life doing. And then I saw the bigger picture of the food system and how it had become a centralized, commercialized, industrialized machine. And so I thought, if I could go out, because everyone is fighting for the same piece of the pie. If you're growing food at that level, of course for them, they're fighting hunger. For us, we're not in that situation. We're pretty well, like, you know, none of us are going to starve, because we can go get cheap food if we would need to. But in our situation, it's can we create a model that would actually pay the food grower enough money to be able to do this thing as that's their occupation. Right now, very few people grow food on a sustainable level, and that's the only thing they do because they don't make enough money to keep, you know, to pay their mortgage. So, you know, they've got to be a fireman and grow food, or they've got to be a school teacher and grow food, or they've got to be whatever. And my thing was, well, what if I can get enough people built up to buy the food that I can start to work backwards to the food growers that are doing it so well, and to put them into enough production that they can then sustain their living based upon, you know, just growing food. And so that's where the Yellowbird was birthed. And I moved down here from Findlay so that I could get closer to the city, because in my mind, I'm like, you know, no small town is going to be able to support this in and of itself. We're going to have to be able to reach a metropolitan area. So in telling the story in the beginning of all the growers that I had met up with and was starting to network with, and how were they doing it, and what were they growing, and how was it, you know, relating back to their land as the best solution for that piece that they had, and then working that together to be able to create a product, you know, in a consumeristic society that I could push out the front end. And so it was kind of a thing back and forth. In the beginning, I'm going to the growers and I'm going to their farms. Hey, how are you doing it? What are you doing? What's working? What's not working? What are you good at? Then going out into the marketplace. Hey, you know, Mr. and Mrs. or student or whoever might be buying the food, are you interested in this issue? Because in my mind, it's a huge issue, but maybe it's not for you. Maybe I need to start raising awareness there. And that's what a lot of that thing is that I have to do, is I have to go out and I've got to tell people, hey, this is the dire truth about our food system, and you've been hoodwinked into thinking that everything's okay and it's going to be okay on into perpetuity, right? Into forever. And it's not going to be based upon this, this, and this.